Hello and welcome to Chillin with Creatives, the podcast that only exists because of its guests. I'm Chillin, and today I'm joined by Abby. Abby and I often launch into long conversations about our OCs while eating McDonald's. We're not eating McDonald's right now, so let's see how this works out. Welcome, Abby.
There's no McDonald's. I don't got no chicken
There's
nuggets.
no McDonald's.
No
It's fucked up.
McDonald's. I only have saltine crackers.
Fucked up. How are you doing?
I'm doing so fun.
Hell yeah.
How y'all doing?
I'm doing fine. Yeah. We're doing another one of these. We're doing another one of these. Hoping everybody likes it at home. Again, if you guys hate this, make sure to leave that in the comments.
Yeah, it's my fault. My bad. I'm sorry, guys.
It's not your fault. No. Of course not. When it comes to like story stuff, right? What comes first for you? Like your stories or like your characters?
Definitely the characters. So actually, there's lore behind this. So I have a lot of characters.
Yes, you do.
And this happened. I do. Oh boy, there's so many of them. But this is all, it stems back to when I was a wee lass. And I would make so many fan characters for like the things that I liked. But the thing is that the way I would use them is like I've seen it's like a little bit more like widespread now with like my hero had like a booming OC kind of thing. Like I remember when that happened in like COVID, I was like, yo, there's finally a community I can do this with. But
oh, nice.
It's like the first thing I would usually do as a kid was I would make a character and then I would just weave them into the stories and give them certain events to do, based off of the events that were already happening in the story.
Okay.
And then and that was like grade 4 to like grade 6. And then when I was in grade 7, I started making actual like side plot lines for these characters to have. And then by the time I was like, I think by the time I hit high school, that's when I started full on just starting to write other stories. So like with the characters that I have now, I've literally just been making characters. And then now I'm actually making the plot, and now I'm realizing I have too many characters. So I've taken like half of those characters I've made and put them in, like scattered them all in different either spin-offs or like completely like still in the same like world, but like in their own completely separate story.
That's interesting. I'm the inverse. All my characters exist to serve a purpose for a story. So like I come up with the story and then I come up with the characters to fit that story.
Yeah. That sounds like a productive way of doing it.
I mean, I think both ways are very valid. I think I think creating characters first and then coming up with stories later is so you're crafting the stories around the characters compared to the inverse, which is the characters are created to fit the story.
Yeah.
I think both are super valid.
It is it is really what is it? I also do find that it's like a lot of my inspiration for making so many characters is just like I'll have a show that I like and I'm like, I want a character like that. And then I'll make them and then I'll be like, now I gotta fit you somewhere.
Yeah. Is there like, what was, I guess this isn't really what you were saying, but is there any like show, what was like the first show that you really made like a character to be in that universe for?
The first
type thing.
The first OC/fan character I ever made, was a fairy tale character from like the anime fairy tale.
Okay.
His name's Rudo. I made him in 2014, so I was in 4th grade.
Got it. Okay.
But like, he was the first character I ever made, and as a 4th grader. Well, I kept developing his story up until till the end of 8th grade. I was like, he was my all-time favorite character, and I always came back to him because the fairy tale anime was still ongoing. It didn't really end until like 8th, 7th grade, so I kept using him.
Sure.
And I had like full-on like backstories. I had all his fight, like I had villain characters, counterpart characters he would fight in certain arcs. I swear, in the I don't know if you've seen Fairy Tail, but like there's one arc where it's like yeah, it's like there's a Grand Magic Games, and it's a tournament arc, and they have like points. I literally reworked all the points to like make it make sense for him to be in the universe. And because I added a new character to the team, so the teams were 6 instead of 5, I went and added a bunch of other characters to every other team to balance it out. Like I was dedicated.
That's yeah. I mean, like the first like fan character I ever made was for like My Little Pony.
Yeah. Well, okay, I
Um,
don't count that because that was a self-insert.
well, I think that's still. Oh, I mean, that's. I think self-inserts still count. I
They
think those are still.
because if we are counting self-insert, there's so many of them. Like there's so many of them.
Oh,
I
you know what the first one was though?
actually it was I think it might have been the fairy tale one too because
Okay.
I had Ruto as the he was a dragon slayer, and in the show for some reason dragon slayers have like they're usually paired with a cat, like a cartoon cat partner. I was his cat partner. I was just a cute little chibi cat, and I wore a little hoodie. And I think I named her Aki, but she was like my self-insert.
All right. I mean, I think self-inserts aren't like.
Oh yeah,
they're just
they're fun.
characters.
There's nothing wrong with them. I just grew out of them.
Mhm.
Because I was in everything. My second one, now after that one was oh my god, this is gonna make me this is such an this is gonna date me so hard. It was Aphmel's My Street. Like her
Repeat that. Sorry. You might cut out on my end.
Aphmel's Minecraft role plays.
Oh my god.
Her My Street, yeah. I deleted my
Right.
DeviantArt, but I had so many comic pages where I was in them.
Oh my
I got
god.
like 100 watchers on DeviantArt from all the comic pages I made where I was in My
I'm
Street.
learning this lore about you, like fucking now. This was something I was completely unaware of, blissfully so.
Yeah. I had so much old Minecraft like fan art when I was so, and it was all like Aphmau Skydas Minecraft. We don't talk about
Oh no.
how that is
Oh,
nowadays.
no.
We don't talk about it. I've been hurt many. I know. I'm so upset about it, but we're not going to talk about it.
We're not the point of the podcast.
How many posts? I had like at least like 100 posts on there. Like I had so many.
Oh my god.
I gotta see if I can find. You know what? One of these days, I'll show you some of the old sketchbooks.
Yeah.
Because I have
the best of the podcast are just us sitting in silence while you look for it.
Yeah, they're in my closet. I know where they are.
Oh shit.
I have so many of them.
How do you think you? I mean, I'm guessing you feel like you have, but like, I guess like how have you seen that you've improved, sort of in terms of making characters and stuff since then?
For one, giving them actual motivations. That's one thing that like
yeah.
Because like I what I would do is I'd give them a personality and then I'd give them a backstory, and then that was it. It was always just like they're along for the ride kind of thing.
That's honestly a lot of my early stories were like that too. I'm thinking back to the first one I ever wrote in like the first grade. It was like a thing where the entire characters were one of them is causing chaos, the other one's just like the other one was just me. It was straight up just me, not like a character representing me. It was just the most direct self-insert possible.
Just you.
And it was just like, yeah, I'm watching TV, and a guy blows up a wall and goes hee hee hee, and then leaves. That's
Yeah.
the summary.
I love that.
There was no like motivation for any of the characters. It was just sort of like, it was just like weird.
Oh my god. You know what that reminded me of?
What did it remind you of?
Okay, I just thought of even older storytelling I used to do. When I was little, like really little, like
Okay.
like maybe 3rd or 2nd grade, I had my DSi and I would make comic books on Flipnote. And the main ones, because when you mentioned that, the main ones I would make were Spider-Man ones.
Ooh.
And the main characters were always Red Spider-Man and Black Spider-Man. And
Okay.
like
Miles and Peter, or
no,
just
I didn't.
those are the
It was just those two because
all right.
the extent of the Spider-Man content I watched, because like the Amazing Spider-Man hadn't come out yet, and I had no idea who Miles was. I don't even know if he existed
Yeah.
at that time. Um,
Uh,
but it was just because all I watched were the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, and I knew
mhm,
that I liked Black Spider-Man, and it was just different colors. But for some reason, I think it was also loosely based off of like other like silly little animated Spider-Man
mhm,
cartoons that people
right.
would make. So I remember literally there's one of them where I think Venom was one of the villains, which doesn't make sense universe wise, but I was 8, so I was like, whatever. But like it would literally just be like Spider-Man and Black Spider-Man,
Mhm.
and it would just be like sitting on a couch, and then Venom or Carnage burst through the wall, or they're seeing Carnage just stealing money on the TV, and they're like, "Oh, what?" And then they had to go. They they had to go fight him.
By the way, Miles Morales was created in 2011.
2011. Yeah, I didn't know who. Yeah, I didn't. I had no idea. You know what? Now that I remember it, it was because um when I always really liked Harry's Green Goblin
Mm,
outfit in Spider-Man 3.
got it.
And so this Black Spider-Man had Harry's like hoverboard, his Green Goblin jet. So I think it was supposed to be Harry because I
Okay.
remember drawing him with spiky hair.
Okay.
But he was Black Spider-Man.
Nice.
That was a nugget of nostalgia. I completely forgot up until now.
Hell yeah.
I'm
No,
s-
yeah. I mean, just in terms of, I mean, this is just in terms of like story writing. Okay, because obviously you've changed it a lot. But in terms of story writing, what do you think? Like, if you've read your old stories recently, is there anything that sort of you realized is like, oh shit, I still do that?
Um, I always have like needless like plot lines, like plot points that I end up getting rid of. So um, things that are supposed to hold back the plot, but then I'm like, this is stupid. Like kind of like, um, so one of the oh god, I just because a lot of the stories I wrote were like very based on what I was interested at the time. My god, this is so embarrassing. So one of the stories I was writing when I was in like what 7th grade, I think, was a story about a self-insert. It was me, and like a cast of characters, and we had like counterparts. The story was called Counterparts. So essentially, there was you, and then you had a demon version of you,
Oh
and the
hell
main thing
yeah!
was there was a conflict between you, and you want to know what the freaking inspiration of this was?
What was it?
I want you to guess.
Okay, my guess is the wedding episode from My Little Pony.
No, but that is a good guess. It was
Damn it!
based off of it was based off of Darkiplier and Antiseptic.
Mm, that's
Because
amazing. That's actually I love that. I love that so much. You
because
have no idea.
I know, because I followed. But you know what? The main inspiration was of this comic particularly was because I followed this one person on DeviantArt. I think their
Hmm.
name was like Azuni-chan, and they had a series called Double Trouble about like
Mm,
Jacksepticeye and Markiplier getting sucked into this like thing where they had to fight Antisepticeye and Darkiplier. Um,
I see.
and I was deep in that fandom, man. I like um I also had a shameless crush on Darkiplier when I was a kid. I don't want to talk about it.
I
But
see. I see.
yeah, but like the plot of
Was
this
was a date with Markiplier like a big thing for you?
no, it wasn't actually Markiplier. It was the way
Well,
this
no, I know,
person no, but
spoilers for a date with Markiplier.
it was for the way the person drew their version of Darkiplier.
Oh, I see. Okay,
Like their particular version I would simp over. Um
got it.
Really weird because he's literally like their version of Darkiplier was like a smoke monster.
Oh,
And so I 7th grade me had some refined taste, let me tell you. But the plot of the story was like, for some reason, like main character, has an encounter with said demon counterpart, and then that demon like infects her. She gives her like a demon eye.
Mhm.
Um, it's like it's like a Tokyo Ghoul, even though I hadn't seen Tokyo
Mhm.
Ghoul, but it's like that where they
Right.
get um whatever. And then that in turn leads to like a lot of baggage where it's just like I don't want to hurt people because I have this demon eye and I don't have control of it. And the main drive of the plot was that um they gave her the she had a year to prepare before the demons came back.
Okay.
And then I realized I didn't know what to do with that time. So it was literally just them going around doing shit. And like there was no like actual plot. It was just that. Like I couldn't think of anything to do with that because I was like, do they have a big fight at the end? Like what do I do? Cuz like
Mhm.
regular like making it so like the demons will only show up at the end is kind of boring because like
Yeah.
I couldn't have them show up. And I was like, this is silly. And I literally just did this like this morning. Like I'm not even kidding. This morning I wrote a plot point in my thing where I was like, I'm gonna have this main character forget these characters and then remember because I remember explaining to it like honestly like the last time we called where I was like, I'm gonna
Mhm.
have her forget what happened, so then she has to go and try to remember what happened like the night her and her group were separated. So it's like her and the audience don't know what happened. Um,
Got it.
and then afterwards, she has to deal with the trauma of what happened that night compared to what happened with them because she thinks they hurt her but they didn't kind of thing. And I was like, honestly, this whole memory thing doesn't need to happen. Like it's
Mm. Yeah.
I could just have that drama from the beginning.
Okay.
Um, but like I do it all the time, and it's honestly why I don't write down like it's a problem I have. I don't write down my a lot of my plot stuffs because I just like because I rework them all the time. So it's like I'll rework major plot points, and it'll be like I'll have to rewrite like 4 pages of shit that I wrote. So it's like,
No,
eh.
yeah. That's completely I think yeah, I mean I think that's completely like fair when it comes to telling a story. Is it's if you figure out like later like even like sort of late into planning your story like oh this needs to be changed like that's something that you should be comfortable doing is like completely changing like major parts of your story because getting attached to like aspects of your story only sets up like things that are just going to be inadequate because you're like well this is shit but I don't want to let it go.
Yeah, there's a lot of plot points like that where it's like I really, really want this plot point, but it does not make sense
Hmm.
logically in the story. Like
Yeah.
I had to rewrite. So my in the comic I'm working on right now, I don't have a name for it. I'm just gonna call it the comic. But like
Okay.
there was supposed to be um because these are also originally fan characters, and in that original thing I had with them, the main character is her and her brother. Her name's
Mm.
Tally, and her brother's name is Rowan. And the main thing in the original concept I had was supposed to be there was supposed to be a lot of sibling rivalry between them, and it was supposed
Mm.
to have like a lot of like kind of like a I don't know if you've seen Arcane. It's kind of like a like a Vi or not a Vi and Jinx situation where it's like one person wants to help the other, but then the other doesn't want that help kind of thing. Or it's like they're just on opposing sides. Originally what it
Got
was
it.
supposed to be was like so like the overarching plot has to do with them realizing they're in a corrupt kingdom kind of thing. And
Okay.
Tally trying to actively fight against it, and Rowan was like, "No, don't do that." Like originally, there was supposed to be conflict between them where Rowan didn't see um, the worth in starting a war over something that like, although it's corrupt, he doesn't find the value in starting a war, kind of thing.
Mm.
So he would actively fight against her, where he's just like, "I'm trying to keep you safe. Why are you doing this?" kind of thing.
Mm.
Um, but like as I kept writing the characters, I was like, the inciting incident for each of these characters was when their father got taken away by the kingdom. So they go to the kingdom in hopes of like figuring something out because um, Rowan wants to find out why. Tally still thinks her dad's alive, so she's trying to go find him, but Rowan doesn't. So he just wants to know why.
Hmm.
Um, and so he already knows that the government, like the kingdom, is corrupt. Um, and then like like I also put a big emphasis on like how close the two of them are. So like having them fight, although it would be cool, I do think it's still a plausible thing. But then I also introduced a plot point where like Tally almost dies and like Rowan gets framed for it, and then I'm like, I was gonna have it so like he keeps arguing with her, but the more I keep thinking about it, I was like, he loves his sister so much he really wouldn't. So it's
Hmm.
like his sister is like all he has. So like he
Right. Yeah.
wouldn't actively do things to actively harm her, kind of thing. So
Got
it's
it.
there's interesting plot developments I could do, but they clash with character motivations that I've already like developed. So
Mhm.
I'm not. That's one of the roadblocks I'm dealing with right now, where it's like, do I have? Because the original thing was like they're both. Because like even in the old one, it was like they would have that conflict, but in the end, Rowan would see her side and join her. So it is plausible I could still have it. I just don't know how to do it right now.
Yeah, I find myself sort of struggling with that occasionally. When it comes to like when I'm working on uh like traversal stuff because I've been working on the game for so long. Um, I have a lot of things that I came up with early in development that I am attached to, and I try my hardest to really abandon something if it's not going to work. But I try to it's still to satisfy that like urge of like I gotta keep things.
Oh yeah,
Um, I try to like there's references to certain things. Like I recently added a backpack to the first island in the place of where like a rock was in really early development, like 2018 early development.
I love that rock. Can't let it go. It's not just a boulder.
It's
It's
a
a
rock.
rock. But yeah, I totally get that. Like I actively like do not let go of old plot points. I turn them into spin-offs.
Uh,
Like I'm like I gotta do something with this. Um
mhm,
because originally like I planned for them to meet like another cast of characters.
mhm,
Um but then like the main cast already has 10 main characters among other side characters, and I would be adding on 6 other characters.
got it.
And I was like, that's too bloated, and I have to write for all of them. So I just took those 6, technically 8, characters, um, and I just gave them their own story.
Stories. Yeah. Do you have like any specific like when it comes to I guess separating like this character needs their own story or this character can just be a part of this story? What's sort of like your what's like what is the separator?
What it is that I make characters in batches. Um,
Mm.
so like when I'm actually what's kind of interesting is that when I made the main cast for this current comic I'm talking about, I knew I wanted there to be a balanced like amount of cast. Like I wanted there to be
Okay.
um like I wanted there to be enough of them. So I had first I took my 2 characters that I had made previously that I really liked. I took
Hmm.
Tally and Al, and then I was like, okay. And then I had this was the most like this is not a process that I do a lot. But I took those I recycled those characters who were originally fan characters. I took a character that I had made in Inktober of all things. And I knew that I planned for him to be in this sort of like um in a comic. Like he was supposed to be in like this original because this original like idea has evolved and changed so many times.
Got it.
Like I could get into it later, but like I knew I wanted him to be in it, and I was like, you know what? Why not? To balance the cast out, I bring back Rudo, who I have not used in years. I was like, I can use him. He's like a blank enough slate, so I put him in. And then I was like, cool, that's a pretty balanced cast. But then I realized um, 8 characters wasn't quite enough for all of the things I wanted to do, because there was supposed to be a B cast. And I had like 2 characters figured out for this B cast. And then I can't quite remember all the specifics, but I was like, I settled on 5 being the thing.
Mm.
Oh no, I know why. Because I had 8 characters, and then I was like, I was gonna have this side character who was gonna have like this like arc because midway through the story they have to kill a teacher, and it was gonna be like
Oh.
that was their parent thing. And
Oh.
I was like, and they were just gonna be a side character, but I was like, why not have them in the cast? So I just put them in there, and then I
Mhm.
scrapped that storyline. Like, um, but yeah, it's just like that's like first batch of characters. Like that's gonna be the main 10 children. And then I have I made a second batch of the um older characters, not like quite adult characters, but like older sibling like ones. So they're like 2, 3 years older than them. So I had
Mhm.
these 2 characters I mentioned before. I had Rowan, and then I had another one. Her name was Valia. And what's interesting is that those 2 were recycled characters because they were Fire Emblem characters before. So like
Mm. Um, sorry, I mean to interrupt. But when it comes to when it comes to taking these characters that you had in the past, do you go about redesigning them at all?
sometimes, yeah. Um, oh, actually, yeah. Okay, so I did a whole overhaul redesign of a lot of my characters, because I was going through, and because like my style has like developed, but when I first made a lot of them, they all had the same face kind of thing. Because it was just
Oh,
like
right,
there was no like it was all same face. The main distinction was hairstyle, and outfit. And
right.
so they had like a lot of the same face and body type. So I just went through and I gave them all distinct different things, which was a lot. There was I did 40 characters because I had so many at that time. I'm making more.
When it comes to like designing these characters, what like design principles do you feel like you have like for your characters?
So what I used the like the animation like shape language thing. But
Mm.
I don't because like my style is still particularly like anime anime-esque,
Mhm.
comic-esque. So I'm still working on getting better at body types because anatomy by itself is really hard. But
Yeah.
the main thing that I know I can control is um the eye shape. So what I do to make things like characters a little more like unique is that um I have like happy, more fun, peppy characters will have circular shaped eyes or more rounded shaped eyes. Um, the cool, sassy, angry characters will have triangle shaped eyes. And it's usually, you can usually see it in the corner of them. That's how they're shaped. Um, so it's like they'll have more sharp cornered eyes, and then, um, you know, like big, tough, like reliable characters will have square shaped eyes. Um,
Mm.
it's subtle, but it's like it makes them look different. And then I've started giving them different nose types, which has been a struggle because I really am attached to my anime nose. Um, like it's a style choice that it's really hard for me to like step away from. But I'm getting there. I finally started adding nostrils. Like holy moly.
Oh shit, they can breathe now.
Yeah,
I didn't do that. My characters can't breathe.
yeah. No, no breathing, no breathing for you. But another thing is, I do have, and I've been giving them more like facial shapes. So like same principle. There's like more circular, rounder shapes, rounder cheeks, rounder chins, or squared off chins, squared off faces.
Mhm.
Um, sharper tins, all that jazz.
Having a lot of differences between your characters is very good. I don't have that, but like because I was watching a video, it's a video about TF2 cosplay by Skyman Slash on YouTube. Um, and it was a really interesting video because the characters in TF2 uh don't have very like they have very distinct like shapes,
Yeah.
but when it comes to like their cosplay, like it doesn't matter your body type at all. Um, you can like anyone can cosplay the scout and it'll be recognizable. Anyone can cosplay the
Yeah.
medic and it'll be recognizable. And I think that was so interesting just to watch. I'll link it in the description just because I feel like it's rude to mention it and then not link it, so
Mhm.
it'll be there underneath all of Abby's links. Um,
Yeah, that's cool. I've always really liked because like yeah, the TF2 designs always like they're I that's what I've been going for,
nice.
trying to make designs that are like so they're distinct, um,
Mhm.
and like I do want to make them like cosplayable if I ever like publish this comic.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
so there's a lot of like take like and even though it's like somewhat of a fantasy ish setting, um like my one character, her name is Al. Like her outfit is just she has a collared shirt with rolled up sleeves, gloves, and overalls, or an
Yeah.
apron because
That's very distinct, yeah.
uh she's the main one I get. Like she has an apron, um, because she's a potion maker. Another character, her name is Eris. I also wanted to give her an apron because she's like an artificer, a mechanic kind of thing. But then
Mhm.
I was like, but Al already has an apron. So I gave her I had to go through look at a lot of um like different mechanic designs. And what I did land on is
Oh,
like, you know
nice.
how there's a lot of like mechanics that have like their suits, but they always have them like like half off and they're like tied around the waist, like particularly Winry from like Full Metal.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So like she has like sort of like high raised, like a bit oversized pants that have like
Right.
the belt buckles at the side. So they're kind of overalls, but just like different. And like I didn't want to give her rolled up sleeves the same way, so I gave her rolled up t-shirt sleeves. So like
Uh,
because I really like rolled up clothing.
it's funny you mentioned that because in the video it was made a very big point that Scout's sleeves he has a short sleeve shirt and they're rolled up.
Yeah, it for some it's a little thing, but it makes it so distinct.
Oh yeah.
So fun. Character design is fun, but oh boy, does it take a while.
Oh yeah.
Like I make the outfit and I'm like, don't talk to me about color palettes, please. I can't. I don't even.
Yeah, that's difficult. With 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 my characters, I sort of feel like um I want to make them distinct, but I have this sort of need to make them all very casual.
hmm
Um,
I do find that
like
you
yeah.
you the what is it? You do well with like their color distinction. Um, because like I can't remember his name. Who's the cute little garden guy? Isn't his name like Josh?
Oh, Joshua.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like his cute little pastel, um, little overalls. And he's got like the light blue shirt, or
Mhm.
he's got a lot of like
Yeah, yeah,
light
that's
blues
accurate.
and greens kind of vibe going on. He contrasts well with like your main guy, who's little bit darker skin and has his beard and the red, and then there's the
I like the idea of referring to player as dark skinned. It's very inaccurate but funny. I get what you mean. It's
is it
darker
yeah
than
he's like
Joshua's
slightly
skin, but
tanned, like
yeah, he's still very white, but
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, he's a that's a white man. But like um and then I what was isn't it the guy who wears like sunglasses? He wears like doesn't his name start with an
Oh, hold
R?
on. The people haven't seen him yet. Ooh,
Oh,
but yeah, no,
yeah.
his design. Yeah, yeah. No, you can talk about him. I don't care.
Yeah, but like, he's got more like muted, like doesn't he have more like
Mhm.
black and red? Or like
He's got yeah. His most prolific color is his red shirt.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I like even though they're casual, I find the color palette you use for them is like helps them stand out with their little sprites. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's sort of a thing with just pixel art characters is you can't put too much detail on the sprites.
Yeah.
Uh,
So having them be colorful is like good vibing, straight
though
vibing.
something though something because the characters don't have uh like outlines. It very much they blend in with their background very easily,
Hmm.
especially if the background is like brown and their hair is brown, or like their clothing is tan and the background is like a light tan or like a light brown.
Yeah. Actually, now that you bring that up, that's another thing that I've been trying to do is because a lot of my characters have like neutral toned hair. Um,
Mm.
because I can't do it. I can't give them colorful hair. It just reminds me of anime. So like I'm really trying to like get out of like my the anime influence because like you know how they say um what is it? You're supposed to like learn all the basics and then develop a style. But because I was self-taught and it was just by copying like copious and copious amounts of anime art, and deviant art, that it's like I'm so stuck. I have to like reteach. I have to forget a lot of the things that I've like all the muscle memory that I've burned into my brain. Um,
Mhm.
and then it's like, yeah, I've just it's been a process, but like I've been trying to give all my characters like neutral toned hair, and so like, but like I don't want them to have like just neutral color palettes. So I balance that out by giving them very like colorful outfits, but like not that colorful. Usually, a lot of the times they have
Mhm.
their color schemes are like complementary or tertiary. Like there's never more than like 2 3 colors that I use for it. That's what I
Yeah,
got.
no, that's fair. I try to limit my color palette as well. Maybe that's the pixel artist in me, but like I don't like having like one character who has like three or even like two shades of red on their character. You
That's
know,
too many shades.
like yeah, I like to keep the color palette. I like to just I personally I just do minimalism a lot in terms of
Yeah,
like like character stuff because I was mentioning like I wrote a story in grade one. Around that time, I knew I wanted to do comics, which I don't really do comics, but I do animations. That's the intent is transferable. Um, I knew I wanted to do comics, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna need to make a really simple style so that I can draw it over and over again, like repeatedly and like accurately every time. And so I settled on like a stickman style with like really like the most detailed thing. And people commented on this was I gave them like hands, but I only gave them three fingers.
ooh,
Um, just because I wanted to be able to draw it over and over again.
yeah,
And though the style wasn't anything special, it was. I mean, for me, it was special. But it's like it was very simple, and I've kept that sort of simplistic type thing.
yeah. I can see that.
Um,
I do like it. I find it's like I don't know something about the way you draw little characters. It just it makes you so happy. It's
Thank you. I like the way you draw characters too. I
oh
just so we're clear. I'm not.
thanks.
That way,
Uh,
this isn't just like I invite you on my podcast and you compliment me and then you leave. Like,
you know what? I was just about to say like this. I have revealed my cringy seventh grade comic ideas. What about you? Did you have any silly stories?
we did a cut there for anyone wondering at home. This seems to be a constant. We tend to have at least one cut per episode. Um, with my with my early stories from like I honestly just like for a while, up until like maybe grade seven, all of my stories had like me and my friends as the main characters.
Yeah, I did that
Um,
too.
and I would always write them really weird. Like they would be complete. I think one of my stories, which is I think like if I had to pick out any of the stories that I wrote from like grades one to I'm gonna say 1 to 6, I would pick or 1 to 7 even. I'd pick out this story as like the story, even though it's not that good. Um, it was the story of um a man who hates Halloween, who gets abducted on Halloween, and it's like, okay, sure. And then I just introduce my friends as additional characters. Like we don't hear from him again. My friends become characters, and one of my friends is like, my parents have been kidnapped, and they've also been kidnapped by the same aliens. Um,
Oh my gosh.
and and then we get to like this alien planet, and it turns out that these people have already been turned into aliens, and it's like, yeah, I just wrote a story where I turned my friend's parents into aliens and felt no empathy about like how weird that is, and so I, that's a bit weird, but
It's not. It's not freaking deviant or cringy like what I had. You
oh my
know,
god,
what is it? Honestly, the way you started that was like you said there was this guy who didn't like Halloween, and then on Halloween he got abducted by aliens. I was like, the guy who didn't like musicals, because like that's low key the plot.
I haven't seen. I should have been recommended, but I have yet to watch.
Yeah,
That.
it's a guy who didn't like musicals, and then the world gets infected by this like weird alien slime that
Mm,
makes people sing and become a part of a hive mind where they all sing
got it.
musical songs.
Okay.
And it's
I thought it
like,
was. I genuinely had no idea what that was going to be. I kept seeing him recommended, thinking like, man, they're just gonna be ragged on this guy.
oh no, it's
Um.
so funny.
Okay.
Um, I love that show.
I guess. Okay. Okay. We. Yeah. I mean, just on that like point, because that was sort of like the reason I really did that was just sort of like, I guess this happens on this alien planet. Like they get turned into aliens.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like nowadays, if I wrote that, I definitely care more about like the emotional stakes,
Mm-hmm.
and like. But when it comes to like killing or like traumatizing your characters, like where do you find like the motivation behind that?
Okay, so it depends really. Like, oh my gosh. Actually, it's a lot of the times. A lot of my characters, their emotional baggage came from like my own emotional baggage at the time.
Oh,
And
okay,
so you can tell what I was going through if you're looking at which batch of characters I made at a time. Um,
got it. Okay.
so like there are some of my older characters, like these ones are fairly old. Um, but they were also fan characters, but a lot of their issues came from um dealing with people and like because I made them around like seventh, eighth, like it was like seventh to ninth grade that I was
Mhm.
really working on these characters. So a lot of their issues came from like fitting in, understanding people, keeping relationships going, kind of thing,
Got
like
it.
managing relationships and trying to just like keep everything afloat. Um, and then uh near my last 2 years of high school, a lot of the expectation the characters like were dealing with was a lot of parental expectations and like being perfect and like still was a lot of characters who had trouble with like characters and like social things um and actually it goes both ways though with the baggage because um originally when I was younger I a lot of the times my characters had like dead parents, they were orphans, but it was
Oh,
mainly because I did not know how to write like because I was a teenager I was mad at my parents, so like I
ah,
didn't know how to write um like family dynamics because
got it.
when you're a teenager, you just like argue with your parents a lot. So I just didn't know what to write for them. So a lot of the times they were just dead. And then that just gave them motivation there. Your parents are dead. There you go. And I only started doing this now with my new characters where I was like, don't have I don't have to kill your family because I'm good. I understand my
We're
family
chill.
now. We're chill. So like I give them family dynamics and I do find that they're very
Mhm.
fun to make. And also I found with making family characters is like a happy medium with me because you know how I like making so many characters. I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
enjoy the process of making them and I found if I just give these characters like an entire family tree, I get to get all these designs out of my head and these are just tertiary characters that don't really need to be
Mhm.
relevant to the plot. But
Yeah.
I can just have like I'm like you can have cousins, why not? Like you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think that's very interesting. The just jumping back, uh, the usage of like where you are emotionally to drive like characters' emotions.
Yeah.
Um, because I don't think I've ever done that. But
No?
that feels like a very I don't think I've ever done that. No. If I think of another example, I'll let you know. It probably will be after the podcast if I'm thinking about it. But I feel like a lot of the times my characters don't really have too. My characters, I guess, when I was growing up, didn't really have too many like super real problems. They didn't really have any actual problems aside from what was posed in the story. Um, which like yeah, but I think your aspect is very interesting because it gives them very human problems and very
Yeah.
human obstacles.
It's because this might be a little sad, but it's okay. But a lot of the times they were they had these problems was because um I didn't have a lot of friends as like when I moved I didn't really
Mm.
have a lot of friends. So I found like I was like, well, if these characters that I'm writing, I can write them in situations that I'm in and then I can write them out of these situations. So then I can like
Oh,
rationalize in my brain how I can go through these situations from day to day things. So like my characters were like my therapy characters and they were my
that's a
comfort
fascinating
characters.
way. Yeah, that's a very fascinating way of like working through a problem you're facing.
Yeah, lots of baggage.
Yeah.
So and I mean I wouldn't and I when I was sad I'd write sad things for the characters and when I was happy I'd write happy things for the characters. Um
Got it.
but like and of course, I'd also put like other plot develop things that have nothing to do with
This again, we did another cut. Not really apologies. It's I'm not sorry. This is we get to choose what goes in the podcast, and if something is said and we want to get rid of it, yeah, of
I had
course.
an idea. It
Sometimes
didn't
it's too
go anywhere.
personal. Yeah. All right. Well, we are nearing the end of the podcast, so I do have. I usually write down a list of questions. I guess usually is a weird word. I've only done this twice, but uh, yeah, I have one question, and then I think we'll close out. Uh, I'd like you to pick a favorite child. Do it. No balls.
A favorite child? You know, I would. I like to say that I don't have one, but that's a lie. Um, Tally is my favorite. I'll send you a
Got
picture
it.
of her. She's the main character of the comic I'm writing. I
Want me
have
to put her on screen right
so
now?
honestly, sure. You know what? I'll make a
Okay.
collage for you of all the doodles I have of her. It's like ridiculous. It's I draw her all the time. And the sad part is that so like she has a girlfriend, right?
Mhm.
And I've been like plot rise, I keep giving like Tally more and more things to deal with. And then I was like, I haven't traumatized all of you equally enough. I need to do that. You can take a break. I'm gonna go traumatize everyone else. So try right now at the moment. I was gonna say I'm trying to take a break from working on her characters, but that's a lie. I was working on her character this morning. So,
Yeah.
but the amount that she has developed compared to her the rest of the cast is like a very wide margin.
I think it's has she been around for like a while
Yes.
then? Or is she like
I
sort of
made
like
I made her in grade 10. Um
mm,
or
okay.
yeah, it was like grade 11 or
A
10.
lot of yeah. I'd say my favorite character I know nobody asked. This is my podcast, though I make the fucking rules.
I want to hear it. I want to hear your favorite
um
child.
my favorite child, not even introversal. Is a character I made when I was in grade 6 called Jameson.
Uh,
Um I think something very funny about Jameson is I was designing this character, and at the time I was really trying not to make too many self inserts.
mhm.
I felt like characters were too similar to me, uh, and because this was before I realized, oh shit, I'm a girl, right?
Mhm, yeah.
And so I was like, so I had this male character, and I was like, okay, what are some things about this character I can? Or I had this sort of gender neutral like frisk type,
Yeah.
and I'm like, let me, because the character was initially called Jam, just sort of like word character doesn't really have a
Jay.
gender, very frisk.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna give the character a full name. So I went with Jameson, and I was like, okay, well, Jameson, um, you know, he's gonna be, just what's something I can really separate, from make sure that this character is very separate from myself. I know, I'll make the character trans, and like a year or two later, I realized like, oh
Like, oh
shit,
no.
the gift of prophecy. Yeah. So, but yeah, that character is probably my favorite of my characters. Just because of the fact that I've had them the longest, and
I
I've involved them in the most like me stuff.
uh-huh. Um this is a sidebar.
Go for it.
I will say close second is Rudo, the first I'm sorry, I'm playing my needed eraser just popped an air bubble. But um my Rudo, he, like, again, because I have so much nostalgia for this boy.
Mhm.
And he is one of my favorite characters. He is among the second most developed character I've worked on. I'll throw up another collage of all the times that I've drawn him. But at the moment, it's not him that I am hyper focusing on. This is gonna sound so fucking weird, but his moms, for some reason, my brain is so hyper focused on these moms. I love his moms so much. I draw them on dates. I draw them on like doing laundry together. They're so in love, and I was like, I love them, and I'm like, they're so sweet. I'm having a ball of a time. I don't know why. I never realized how fun parent characters could be. I'm not even joking. I'm literally making I was gonna make a full on spin-off about their younger days. I'm not even kidding. I love his mom so much.
We love prequels.
I love prequels. And they are integral to the plot, so it makes sense.
No, I'm so fucked up though, because my first example that I can come up with of a sequel that features the parent of the main character is fucking Yandere Simulator.
Oh my god, yes, mode. Yes, that's. I'm not for nothing. That was somewhat of an inspiration. I'm not gonna lie.
Fucking go.
I'm trash. I have so much trash. You know what? Okay, this actually brings into
Afmao. You have a lot of Yandere.
I know. In my
your
system.
Repertoire.
That actually, this is another thing. This is exclusive Abby news sneak peek to anybody who watches this far into the podcast. I want to make a YouTube channel, and I will eventually. Actually, by this time, I might have already made it.
Maybe. I'll link in the description. If it's not there, then you haven't. So
yeah.
I'll update the description when you do
but
have it there.
We'll see. Yeah. But I want to, one of the content ideas that I've been playing around with in my head, because a lot of people are doing, redesigning and rewriting of characters, right?
Oh.
And they're doing it, I've seen a lot of them, but I haven't seen a lot for the shows that I particularly feel like need rewrites, that I have so much bias for, that I love to death, but I do realize that there are messes. So I've thought about currently the shows on my radar for rewriting, particularly shows, are Fairy Tale, The Promised Neverland. But then it goes into older things. Fairy Tale, Promised Neverland, Ruby was one of them too. Those are shows that I could discuss some ideas, but the ones I'm really excited for is I want to rewrite Security Breach.
Oh, the just Security Breach or Security Breach?
Or maybe even just all of FNAF lore. Just fix some of it. You know, I lost it at the Soul Remnant. That was stupid. The fucking Soul Juice. What the hell? God damn it.
I look. I'm not here to comment on the FNAF lore. That's not my goal as a creator. If I wanted to do that, I would compete with MatPat. But
I would never step on his shoes. But there are some things I would swap around. But yeah, Security Breach. Mainly maybe Securities, because I like the Purgatory ending MatPat came up with, and then when Help Wanted came out and they brought him back, and I was like, this is silly. Maybe we can.
Help Wanted was before Security Breach.
Yeah. So at that Help Wanted, well, I'll see how it goes. But I'll see what I come up with. But I think, what was another one I was thinking of? Um, eh, come on, brain, think of it now. Think of it so fast.
You should think of it now.
I think of it right. Oh my god. I've thought about doing My Little Pony rewrites. I've thought of it. I will say. What else?
You wanna? Yeah. Sorry. I was just gonna ask. You wanna just quickly call it here? Just
probably, yeah. They'll come to me. Right. But you know.
All right. It's fine. We'll figure it out later.
Yeah. I'll get it. I'll get it one day.
When you make the YouTube video, you'll have figured it out.
They'll know. So, you'll see if you subscribe right now.
Speaking of which, when it comes to like YouTube and stuff, do you have anything you want to plug as we're closing out?
At this current moment in time, I will plug my Instagram, Abby Draws. It is so cleverly named. That is Abby period 2 underscores period draws.
It'll be the first link in the description.
Yeah, and that's where you don't get a lot of plot from the comic I'm running, but you do get a lot of character interactions from the characters I have been talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had it open during the podcast, and your second last post, I was just like, I remember you drawing that. I remember you showing me you drawing that. But yeah, so that'll be it.
That'll be yeah.
Yeah.
Go follow me, or I'll eat your toes.
Episode. Yeah, you better follow Abby.
You better follow me right now.
And that's episode 2. This is the second episode of 3 that I want to do for the first test run of this. If you guys like it, let me know. If you guys hate it, also let me know. And
subscribe to Chillin, or I will come for you.
Please don't.
That's not
attack anyone who doesn't.
That's not a threat. It's a promise from me, the Abby, not Chillin. From me, Abby.
I'm not. God damn it. Okay. I guess that's that. I do want to mention though. I'm so fucked up. Every time you started a sentence with among, I was so expecting you to say us. I'm so fucked up.